Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the beautiful sights and sounds of the ERA Sunday Championship. We've missed you, you've missed us, we've missed all the action, and welcome back to another fantastic season of ERA Sunday Championship, Season 15. And I've got to say, I'm really looking forward to some incredible racing this season, with some great calls from drivers pushing themselves a little bit more, new names looking to charge up to the front, and a whole new set of drivers looking to usurp the champions of old. My name is Stephen Koenig, and welcome to the Team Heap Together THT Productions box, and welcome to Spa-Francorchamps, a track that is in both infamy and infamous. It is going to be a championship winner or a GT3 killer. And this is a circuit that many prefer to have some good race days at, but very few get to walk away unscathed, as they will charge up towards Eau Rouge and Radion at the start of the race before they power all the way through to Les Coubs. A quick right followed by a left into a second right will force the drivers to really get their tyres up to temp before charging down the hill into a long right-hander. Quick acceleration out, hard on the brakes, down to third gear, and bring yourself around Speaker Corner, also known as No Name. Charging all the way down the mountainside, you will go through the long left-hander of Pouan before you have to start making your way through the little chicanes, a left and a right, before you aim at Stavelot. Hard on the brakes, down to second. A quick acceleration through little lift and back on the power as you charge, getting a huge amount of pace towards Blanchemont, making sure you're keeping hard on the throttle all the way until you cross the line, getting close to the bus stop, hard on the anchors, down to second, down to first, and you charge your way through the bus stop, over the line, which will then tick over another lap before you head into La Source, an incredibly tight right-hander that if you're too much on the inside line, you're going to land up losing so much pace. But if you go and get it right, man oh man, you're going to have a drive of note down towards the likes of Radion and Eau Rouge. That being said, a massive welcome to you all to Spa-Francorchamps, and a monster welcome to ERA Sunday Championship. That being said, I'm sure that you're sick and tired of hearing my voice right now, and you were diving in for all the action that's taking a look to the virtual grandstands. We have got the likes of Antonio Gamble going and saying good luck to the likes of Jason Farmer and the Griffin Sim Racing. So with that being said, we get ready for our cameras to be at the ready, and we'll be heading out onto the circuit for the first round of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you're just as excited as I am, because we're in for an absolute stellar run with drivers looking to push their way to the top end of the field. New names joining us this season, and some new faces in each of the different classes as well. As we take a look, David Borschke hoping to carry on a little bit more momentum after last season was on a stellar drive to move forward and up through the order, but now having to do it all over again here tonight for the Snetterton Competizione Championship. Christoph Peterson waits in the pits. Now we've got three different classes racing with us. We have got our Diamond class, which is in the white, our Platinums in the grey, and our Golds in the red. New names picking up though. Patrick Miles moving into the Gold class is going to be quite happy. He's going to have to fight out with a new name to the grid. El Perry looking to move forward in the run. Cedric Muir down in our Gold with Ulrich de Jager from the Griffin Sim Racing team. Another new driver, Ronald Priggs, coming and joining us in the BMW, the Black Lung Bandits, hoping to have a great run through the order. Then we got Marcy Sager, who's got the Honda out on the circuit. Jim Emanuelson a little bit further down the order. Ruam looking to have a bit of fun out there as well, lying in 28th position We got the likes of Sergil, Badass, Calgero, Oaks, and Foss that are rounding out the grid here tonight. 39 cars to start out, and at current, we've got a number of drivers looking to really push their way up to the top of the order and hoping to stay in the fight for the front. Now, many questions come in of how this is all going to work, because you do have the diamonds waiting out, like our multiple-time champion Christoph Peterson, yet to go out of the circuit, while Nicholas Cora of the ERA Highway Patrol, first out of the Platinums and first out of the Diamonds and wanting to get going. So as we wait for drivers to put their first times on the board, lots of hard work coming into play to ensure they're getting the tyres up to temperature on this blazing hot day. 29 degrees, as drivers will be looking to fight it out. Nicholas Cora getting a lot of room by one of the McLarens as he launches on by and has a good free run on his way through. A couple of drivers still wait in the pits to get themselves sorted, but we should be seeing first of the cars getting across the line, like Ben Hicks, who was out in a charge, hoping to put a good time on the board for the ERA Highway Patrol. He will come across the line to start his flying lap, as we do see Cedric Merg actually waiting out a little bit of time, just trying to get a bit of clear air at this point before he can get out and going to head out onto the circuit at full steam ahead. Hoping for all our drivers to really make a big impact here tonight. A multiple-time champion Christoph Peterson back into the Ferrari 488, hoping that it's going to make a big win for him this time. Dev Brodsky gets up into first place with a 2 minute 17.8 in the BMW. The Track Tool team switching out from the Lamborghinis of last season into the BMW. Jason Farmer into second place, only 0.5 of a second behind, and looking to try and get a little bit more momentum underneath him. Dave Rotsky in second. Ernest Lundbergs hoping the Rusties will be able to take the championship this time around. Cole Hines, a new name, going and fighting out in the front of the pack. Leads out our Platinum on the Cyber Racing. So all drivers hoping to really make a monster effort. Couple of VIPs out on the grandstands. Talmo Malami giving in a bit of a shout out as well, as he looks on for the incredible racing coming through, and puts himself up in second place for the Cyber Racing. And a good showing for the team, and a very close in time. A 2 minute 17.3 for Talmo. Carl, a 2 minute 17.2 on his stellar effort up through the order. Saja up into third, having a great run with a 2:17.6. Dave Brodsky further down in fourth place. We're still starting to see times coming down, as we see El Perry in 14th position, going and sitting at 2 minute 20. Now this is expected to be the mid-grid for a lot of our drivers. Ronald Priggs going and moving up in the order. Out there in the Gold Division, hoping to make a big impact this season. Black Lung Bandits have been quite consistent in endurance racing, hoping to make it work here for our Sunday Championship, where it's all going to be on strategy to move forward up through the order. Lucas Collett switching out from his usual into the BMW M4 GT3, as we saw Jason Farmer trying to get a little bit more of a run, the Griffin Sim Racing machine, hoping to carry a bit more run up through the order. Continuing on hard charge for Jason Farmer, but Nicholas Cora puts himself at the top of the order with a 2:17.2, and it's just a fraction ahead of Cole Hines at the moment. Our Diamonds feeling the pressure from the Platinum driver, Cole Hines, who is on an absolute limit, pushing as hard as he can. Ernest Lundbergs puts himself at the top of the order with a 2:16.1, going and separating by 0.7 of a second to Cole Hines. Everyone hoping to find a little bit more pace underneath, and still quite a few drivers unable to put a time on the board, like Cedric Muir, who's going to come across the line now. Does put a time on the board, lying in 22nd position, just ahead of Ronald Priggs. Lewis Knight needs to get a good time on the board. Skurt Reynolds, Simon Cussat, all waiting to get a time on the board. Rays Williams as well. Wyvern Motorsport has to try and make it work. Stephen Milano, James, David Roth, David Schutten, along with Ruan Heineke, Jens Nelson, Federico Galgero, Aaron Schigel, along with Richard Oakes, David Young, and Daniel Mutsumai, going and rounding out the field, trying to get just something on the board to move forward. But it's David Schutten up into third place, hoping to get a little bit closer to Ernest Lundbriggs this time around. Tomo Malami holds fourth. Carl Heinz, his teammate, holds in fifth place. Lucas Collin down in sixth position. Now the question comes in. Our multiple-time champion, Christoph Peterson, has won 7 championships in a row. And he's hoping to carry that number 1 a little bit further this season. And at current, lying down in second place and just not finding the pace he needs to move up through the order. Apologies if the commentary goes a little bit quiet. Battling with a throat infection. Ernest Lundbriggs out in first place. Holds the top of the charts with Christoph Peterson lying in second. David Schutten down in third for the ERA Highway Patrol. Tomo Malami down in fourth with Nicholas Cora, trying to make up some time. But it is up until Ronald Priggs that's been able to get a time on the board. From there, 32nd right down to 39. Are yet to get a time on the board that's going to benefit them. Christoph Peterson, 0.2 up on his personal best, comes across the line and hasn't been able to improve out of that second place. Got closer to Ernest Lundbriggs this time around with a 2:16.1, where Ernest Lundbriggs did a 2:16.0. David Schutten unable to improve as well. Jens Nelson improving by 0.4 of a second on his personal best in the Iron Links colours. The Lamborghini properly hammering it through, trying to make up any bit of momentum at this point, and constantly having to fight it out. 0.5 up on his personal best. That's going to be a good run for Jens Nelson, who at the end of last season was fighting it out for the championship. Jens Nelson hoping to carry a little bit more momentum up through, but it's Ben Hicks up 0.2 of a second. And this is going to be a proper run for Ben Hicks up into first place. A 2 minute 16.0 and getting well enough ahead of Ernest Lundbriggs right at the last with a minute to go. It is going to be a proper chase. Jens Nelson 0.7 up on his personal best. Sean Skitter is 1.1 up on his personal best. And Federico Calgero properly hammering it through, heading towards bus stop. This is going to be an absolute banker if he can get it right. 1.7 seconds up on his personal best at 2:18 was his last lap time. It got invalidated. It's going to make it work this time round. Comes across the line and boots himself up into 20th position right at the last. Federico Calgero with a proper send to get his way through. Schutten losing a bit of time behind David Roth. Just a bit ahead of him, the 488 driver in the Ferrari, having a huge amount of fun. Unfortunately for Schutten, no fun to be had as he parks it off into the dirt. Jason Farmer, 0.1 up on his personal best. Miles Stone going and changing from the Mustang, where he drove in the last season, out into the Aston Martin, into bus stop. 0.5 of a second, carrying a lot of momentum through. Is it going to be enough, however, to jump him into the top 10? 0.5 of a second on the way through and up into 15th, but only just to get ahead of Jason Farmer. Last of the drivers to go and get a time on the board is going to be Daniel Mutsuma. Out from Japan, the Proper Racing McLaren driver will look to hammer it through for a personal best in through Blanchmont, through the left-hander, absolutely giving it horns to bus stop. Is he going to have enough momentum, however? Hard on the brakes, a quick right with a quick left. Stand on the power as quick as you can. Keep the rear in check. And Daniel, unfortunately, a little too slow through bus stop, lost out the time and will have to settle for 28th position. With the drivers getting ready, teams getting excited, round one of the ERA Sunday Championship set ablaze here at the Spa-Francorchamps. A massive welcome to you all. Fantastic to see you out there in the virtual grandstands. And welcome to Spa-Francorchamps, a legendary circuit that has been going and creating champions time and time again, from IRL to sim racing. It is a circuit that everyone wants to win at, as the prestige to win here at Spa-Francorchamps is tremendous. Home of the Spa 24 hour, home to some phenomenal classic racing, and home to some of the most iconic corners in history. Blanchmont, Radion, Eau Rouge, Pouon is just a couple of corners that you want to be able to go and get those side-by-side moments through. La Source being an incredible hard-braking zone to do an undercut on a driver feels fantastic. But a couple of corners you don't want to go side-by-side through. Les Combes is one of those corners. A quick right to left-hander means that you get put on the opposite line. So if you had the advantage into the right-hander, you got the disadvantage onto the left-hander. You've got to be so careful to get the momentum in just the right places. And many of the drivers know that they are going to be fighting to battle it out on this incredible circuit. And they're going to be going in for an hour's race. Now, to take you through this, we do have a mandatory pit stop that the drivers will need to serve. And that also plays into how they're going to move up and down through the order. There is no timer when they have to do the pit stop. Just has to be between the green and the checkered. That's it. How far you want to push it, that's up to you. How much fuel you want to carry, that's up to you. But this is server 1 that has our diamond, platinums, and our golds. We do have a server 2, which have our iron, our bronze, all racing together as well. Because here in ERA, we love to teach not only the most skilled of drivers, but also those that are just getting into the world of sim racing and getting into the world of competitive racing. And this is what we love. Getting to share those iconic moments with you all out there in the virtual grandstands and creating moments for our drivers. As we wait for the green to get out on the track, everyone waits with anticipation to get going. Ben Hicks at the top of the order ahead of Ernest Lundbergs is going to be an interesting combo to deal with as drivers start making their way to the circuit, and we will cut our cameras across to see the action. So Tim is on the cameras taking us through a bit of guides, and it's always fantastic to have Jim will be our head of everything going on. So, as they start getting up on the jacks, tire pressures, getting ready, fueling, getting ready, drivers will be getting ready from momentous start after quite a bit of hiatus from the drive. We do have the likes of Ernest Lundbergs and the likes of Ben Hicks that are going to go side by side. But with 40 cars set to take stage, 1,000 plus sign-ups here at ERA, being one of the biggest sign-ups we have had ever, making it a truly momentous time to be here in ERA. It is going to be an absolute amazing race, and we can't say thank you enough to all the drivers and teams being a part of it, and we're expecting to have more coming through as the season goes on. And we invite people to come through because we're hoping by the first time ever, we want to be able to have 3 different servers here in ERA to have incredible racing action. That is purely because of all the excitement. Plus, we have got a goal, ladies and gentlemen, out there in the virtual grandstands. We've got a Christmas goal to set for 2025, and that is to get 500 subscribers to our YouTube page. That is the push. That is the goal. That is the momentum we're looking to take our way through. And considering we have got some incredible drivers out there on the circuit, some incredible teams looking to fight their way through, we're in for a stunning time. With that being said, let's go down to our grid and see who is starting where. So, for the ERA Sunday GT3 Championship, first up is Ben Hicks, followed by Ernest Lundbergs in the 488 Ferrari. Christoph Peterson, our multiple champion, will start in third. David Schutten in fourth. Tomo Malami, followed by Nicholas Cora. Jens Nelson, Carl Heinz, Sean Skitter, and Lucas Collett round out our top 10. And we got a 7 video watching from server 2. Glad to have you. Just don't mess up your race, but we're good to have you around and looking forward to seeing you in server 1 soon. David Broschke out in 11th with Ray Williams in 12th. Marcy Sarjar in 13th. Martin Spritzer, Miles Stone, Jason Farmer, Stephen Milano, James Rich Van Heerder down in 18th position, along with Hanzo Foss, Christian Fingler, David Roth, Federico Calgero, David Young, Aaron Shingle, Paul Scaveris, Jim Emilson, Lewis Knight, Daniel Mutsuma, Patrick Bells, Al Perry, Cedric Muir, along with Ulrich Diaga, Ventures Röhm getting a bit of support as well. Our German driver, the bearded badass, a little bit further through. As we did lose our timing a little bit there, we'll try and bring it back. Get back to where we were. Apologies. A little bit rusty, it seems. So we got Hanzo Foss and Christian Fingler down in 20th. David Roth, David Young, Federico Calgero, Aaron Shingle, Paul Scaveris, Lewis Knight, Jim Emilson, Daniel Mutsuma, Patrick Bowles, L. Perry, Cedric Muir, Ulrich Diaga, Ventures Röhm, Bearded Baudas, along with Ronald Priggs, Ruan Heineke, Simon Cussat, Skirt Reynolds, Richard Oakes, and Finley Gamble. And just a quick one, a congratulations to the likes of Ruan Heineke, who actually won the Race Face Up Pro-Am Championship. As Ben Hicks coming to a stop on the circuit. That is a bit of a strange part. Why did he come to a stop on the circuit? He was waiting for the rest of the field to come through. So, with Ben Hicks trying to build a bit of heat into the brakes, Ben Hicks will have to do everything he can for an hour to hold back the likes of Ernest Lundbergs, who is on an almighty charge, looking to try and recover and take a brilliant start to the season. Christoph Peterson sitting right behind him, a multiple champion for the Logistical Nightmare Racing team. In the number 1 colours, we'll have David Schutten putting a little bit of pressure on him as well. As they start to form up, getting ready to go. Lots of support coming in for the drivers. A big call going to the likes of Vitus Röhm, getting a bit of support, saying from 33rd to 1st, come on, you can do it. And I love the enthusiasm coming out from our crowd, and absolutely tremendous to see you all standing on your feet here at Spa in the sun. Hope you got the sunscreen on, because we're about to see some incredible action for round 1 of the ERA Sunday Championship. Oh man, I've been waiting so long to say this. And with 40 cars set to go for it, it's now or never. Into the bus stop they go. Ben Hicks will lead the charge, bringing the pace down, 70 kilometers an hour, gently warming up those brakes and tires, ensuring that he's ready, because the race will not start now, but when they make their way around the sharp hairpin of Lacombe, and staring down at a Rouge before they charge to Radeon. There will be the start flag ready to be waved by Jim. And you can see double file formation, Lexus, Ferrari, two of the oldest cars in the sim. Hardly used, now going and fighting for the top of the order. Around Lecum they go, staring down to Radeon. Ben Hicks will get ready to lead the charge. Lights on, lights on, lights on. So get ready to go. Round the little right-hander, waiting for the green. And green. Ben Hicks trying to get the run, but it's Ernest Lundbriggs who will guard the inside apex. Going side by side, he backed out of it. Christoph Peterson drops down into third. David Schutten capitalizing to go and try and get the pass done early on. Stuck to the outside. Ernest Lundbriggs going 3 wide as Peterson has got the inside line. Shuffling left and right. Schutten trying to get a little bit of a run as Christoph smack dab in the middle will defend the inside line, forcing Schutten to ride over the curbs. The Lexus not backing out, and Ernest Lundbriggs will have to settle a little bit further down. Nose to tail they go as Christoph Peterson guards the inside in towards Speaker Corner. It's going to be hard on the anchors to try and make it work. Ernest Lundbriggs up on the inside will have a great run to just try and force him out wide. And Ernest Lundbriggs, unfortunately, puts the wheel off wrong, losing that little bit of time. Schutten will now look to put the pressure. He's got Nicholas Corey, his teammate behind him. Tomo Malami for a little bit of company follows suit. Cole Hines, Jens Nelson, all continue on the charge with Sean Skitter keeping the pressure on from behind. Lucas Collab going to go late on the brakes with Rays Williams. Once again having to go a little bit defensive. David Borschke trying to put the look on the inside for the track tool team. Trying to see if the BMW has a little bit better on the brakes. Saja, a new name to the grid, leads out our gold division and fighting out with Martin Spritzer. But we do have a problem at the back. That is Finley Gamble and the likes of Skurt Reynolds running into a bit of an issue with the two of them. And down the order they go. Not ideal circumstances. Lewis Knight trying to get going, but there is Vinicius Ruhm, the 38 car, parked off into the distance. Sorry, this is a 12 car, parked off in the distance. Quickly go and take a look what happened to him. Vinicius went out a little bit wide, had one the Griffith Sim Racing get past. That looked to be Ulrich Diaga. As Ventus tried to guard his line, Hanzo Foss up on the inside, lightest of taps on the rear, does swing across, and unfortunately having that little bit of contact on the nose. Late on the brakes they go. Ray Williams trying to go and get past the likes of Christian Fingler. Rich Van Heerder looked to go on the attack as well, and David Roth as well. On Spritzer side by side with the likes of Hanzo Foss, who gets the run. Sorry, it wasn't Hanzo Foss in the Bentley. He's actually racing in the Mercedes this time around. David Roth trying to get the run on Rich Van Heerder. Got a stellar drive through Eau Rouge. Aaron Shingle looking to try and follow suit as well. Rich Van Heerder stuck on the inside. We'll have to go defensive. Aaron trying to go late on the brakes, but it is going to be Richard to have the advantage. Sweeps across the nose, and it's Stephen Milano James in the wall. Turned round. Not ideal situation for the 787 car as he waits for the entirety of the field to come on by. What on earth happened to Stephen Milano James? He was trying to get the pass done and dusted on Saja. Looks for the inside line, late on the brakes, over the curbs, and just loses the rear. Unfortunately, spikes it into the wall. Not too hard of an impact, but throws him down the order and had to wait for the entirety of the field to get on by. Mon Spritzer keeps pressure on Hanzo Foss as they continue on the charge. Hanzo defending the inside line. A late move to make it all get done. Cole Hines keeps pressure on Tomo Malami, his own teammate, ensuring they can keep going. So it is Ben Hicks leading our diamonds with Christoph Peterson and Ernest Lundbriggs running in third. David Schutten down in fourth place with Nicholas Cora, Tomo Malami in sixth. First of our platinums is the likes of Carl Hines with Jens Nelson one of our pros, splitting the likes of Lucas Collab and Carl up, as Lucas Collab second in the Platinum class and getting chased down by David Roschke. Third of the Platinum. Milestone is fourth of the Platinums, and Mon Spritzer, fifth of our Platinums. Soja leads out the golds, followed by Hunso Foss, Aaron Schigel, and Federico Colgero round out the pack. Christian Fingler going and changing over to the McLaren instead of the Lamborghini he had last season, hoping it's going to work out for him this time. Well, getting hunted down by Ray Williams, McLaren, and the likes of David Roth, who constantly puts the pressure on the back of them in the 488, looking to try and make a move. El Perry tried to get a pass on Simon Cussat, who unfortunately got the better drive, getting pushed to the side. However, this in GTR of Simon Cussat, not going to back out. Sorry, that's El Perry in the car. He's got the likes of Jim keeping the pressure on him. Ruben Heidecker taking a lot of pace out of Radeon, and unfortunately cut the corner a little bit there. He's going to look to make a 3 wide. However, a very, very risky move. He backs out of it. Jim goes for the send. He loses the rear, and that is Jim narrowly missing the entirety of the field. He does bring it back onto circuit, but Ruben Heidecker and El Perry can count their lucky stars. They weren't in for a bit of a problem there. Nicholas Cora going side by side with Tomo Malami. Carl Heinz is in the mix as well. Jens Nelson keeping pressure. Nicholas Cora door to door with Tomo hard on the inside. A little bit of argy-bargy. Carl Heinz takes a look on the inside. Nicholas Cora forced out wide, lost a bit of time. Jens Nelson's going to be next on. Lucas Collab there as well. Well, this is going to be a bit of a problem for Nicholas Cora. The ERA Highway Patrol getting absolutely mugged at the moment, as Jens Nelson will continue to keep the charge on. Lucas Collab wants to join up with his teammates a little bit further up the road, and Sean Skitter joining in the fray as well. Lucas Collab trying everything he can, looks to the outside, couldn't quite get it done. Jens Nelson's got a lot of momentum out of Blanchemont. Look to the outside, switch to the inside. Fortunately, not close enough, not as comfortable on the brakes. Sean Skitter, however, a great opportunity onto the back of Lucas Collab. Had to slow down a huge amount, however. That's brought David Roschke into contention. Out in front, it's Christoph Peterson and Ben Hicks. They're continuing their drive. We are seeing the first of the pit stops, however, coming in. Scott Reynolds into the pits. Finley Gamble, Jason Farmer, and David Young are getting their pit stops done and dusted at the start of the race. Remember, it's an hour's race. They got one mandatory pit stop that they have to serve. This is going to be a big run for them. Peterson looks to the outside of Ben Hicks. Ben holds it center line. Very well done. Try and slow the car down on the apex. It's fouled up. Exit of turn 3 into turn 4. Peterson tried to capitalize on it. Looked to the inside. Just couldn't quite get the Ferrari to stop understeering. Try and get that pass done and dusted. That's allowed Ernest Lindbergs to get back into the fray of things. So at the moment, Ben Hicks is on a stellar drive to hold first place, but only just ahead of Christoph Peterson. A little bit further back, Nicholas Cora has got Jens Nelson for a bit of company, looking to try and figure out what does he need to do to run away from the yellow Lamborghini as we jump on board the rear wing. Absolutely fighting his way through. Ernest Lundbergs, however, starting to make up some time to the fellow 488 of Christoph Peterson, and will constantly keep the pressure on, looking to try and give it him everything he's got. Runs out a little bit wide, really to the fringes of the circuit, and doing everything he can to keep the momentum as Christoph Peterson getting a snap oversteer, not enjoying that, and will lose out a little bit of time to Ben Hicks. So as drivers start to settle into their rhythm, starting to figure out where they need to be in this race and what they need to do to move forward. Ruben Heinecker down in the diamonds, right behind Cedric Muir, who is running at a great pace for the gold. And Cedric, a very consistent driver when it all works out, is hoping to make it work this season. However, El Perry, a new name to the grid, has got Richard Oakes in the Rust Bucket Racing. It's been a while since we've seen the Rust Bucket Racing on the ERA grid. Always fantastic to see Richard Oakes out there. putting on a good show. The bearded badass, the Can't Catch Up Racing, having a good battle with Jim Emilson up on the outside. And that's also going to allow Aaron Shingle to join in for a bit of a fray. And Aaron holds the inside line, forcing Bearded to go out a little bit wide. So small gains, lots of drive needed, and that is being echoed by our virtual grandstand. Ben Hicks and Christoph Peterson continue on their drive, nose to tail, and trying to focus out what they need to do. As we nearly to the 10-minute completed mark, we have seen so many changes in position and so many loss of positions, however, for quite a few drivers. One of them, unfortunately, being a retirement, and also, second of the big losses, comes from Jason Farmer, 22 positions down from his starting order. Started in 16th, and just after a pit stop, fallen down. Some major gains, however, goes to Simon Kussat, up 14 positions with Ruben Heineke. So on 12, and Richard Oakes actually on 14th positions gained as well. So we are seeing a little bit of climbs throughout the field, but everyone trying to focus on what they need to do to move forward in this race. Ernest Lundberg's trying to get a little bit more drive. We'll hope to continue the pace as Christoph Peterson once again mounts an attack on Ben Hicks. Miles Stone going and fighting out with Martin Spritzer. Martin a bit more comfortable this season in the BMW M4 as he continues on the charge, lying in fourth of our Platinum division. Tomo Malami loses out to Cole Hines, his teammate, up into fifth and looking to get a little bit more of a run. Nicholas Cora going to get attacked by Jens Nelson. Once again, look for the inside line. Couldn't quite get it to work. And immediately, Lucas Collab making it under braking. Sean Skitzer, David Broschke, and we do see the likes of Marseille Saja come into play as well. Mon Spritzer gets good drive. Miles Stone, however, drops down as he loses out to Hanso Voss. The Mercedes having a tremendous amount of drive up on the inside. That V8 going and leaving the old school V8 of the Aston Martin. Aston Martin in the wings. And an interesting fun fact, between the Aston Martin of Miles Stone and Hanso Voss, the predecessor engine to the Merc of Hanso Voss actually lies in that Aston Martin, as it is a Mercedes-powered Aston. And it's the first of the hybrid of Aston Martins that are coming into play, much like the Lamborghinis using Audi gearboxes. In the same factory, works out well. Paul Scaveris and Vintus Ruhm diving into the pit lane. Cedric Bird dives into the pit lane as well. Jim Emilson gets a heck of a drive on Ulrich Diaga. Looks for the inside late on the brakes. Can he make it work out? He does. And there is Chucky on the side of the car, showing what he can do. Ulrich Diaga not wanting to play that game. Will wait it out. If you catch a horror movie references, well done on you. Aaron Shingle keeping good run as the bearded badass. Unfortunately, loses out a little bit of a drive and will try and just keep himself circulating at the moment. He is blue flagged. Doesn't want to lose out too much time, however, to the rest of the field trying to make their way through. And that was actually, he's not the blue flag. It's Kurt Reynolds that got by, was the blue flag driver, but dropped him quite quickly. So a stunning drive on his part, trying to open up the gap and keep going. Hanso Voss, once again, finding out Monson Spritzer. The BMW, incredible on the brakes. Hanso Voss has got some serious top-end power to try and carry through. And Mon Spritzer will need to try and figure out what can he do heading into the bus stop. Over the line they go, into the braking zone, hard on the brakes, down into second, down into first, back onto the power, feed it through. Don't want to jump over curves too hard and lose all that traction. As Christian Fengler gets a face full of David Roth's 488, suddenly all over him as well. So we do see a couple of cars going off circuit. Our number 12 being one of them, Vintus Rum, rejoins the circuit and getting absolutely mobbed by the field, passing by Ben Hicks, getting past Christoph Peterson, chasing Ernest Lundbergs. And we do see a bit of a mistake come in. Sean Skitter turned round at the top of Row Rouge and is in a very, very precarious position as the field come over the top, hang to the right. Sean Skitter narrowly avoided death on the way through. Unfortunately, landed up in a bit of a problem there, down into 25th position. What on earth happened to Sean Skitter? So this was heading up Eau Rouge. We jump on board behind one of the Cyber Racing, getting unsteady. Oh, it was changing on the steering wheel. Took his hands and eyes off the prize, and unfortunately a hard crash into the wall, and down the order he went. Now trying to make up some time, is up against the likes of Jim Emilson, who is fighting out with Lewis Knight in the Pennzoil Nissan colours. Lewis will not be backing down from this fight. He will continue on fighting with Jim, and Sean Skitter will hope to try and get into the fray as well. Stuck on the outside. It's going to allow Ulrich de Jager to get a good run on the likes of Lewis Knight. Takes a long line around the outside, swings it back on the inside. Lewis Knight, however, just not able to carry the momentum. Will have to sit and wait. Nicholas Cora feeling the pressure of Jens Nelson fighting. These two have done it in the past and look to do it again as they continue on the charge. Everyone hoping to push themselves a little bit further. This is 7 laps completed by our leaders in this hour race. 44 minutes to go. Mandatory pit stop needing to be served by our drivers. And the main one to keep an eye out is going to be back to Paul Scaveris. Now, something we've seen him do before is an early pit stop that worked out in his favor, and he was able to climb the order. He is going to be the marker in this race to see whether the earlier pit stop is going to be more beneficial. Now, many of the drivers trying to go a little bit further. Cedric Bird, David Young, unfortunately, they had to pit for damage. They weren't able to get their mandatory pit stop out the way. Ooh, Christian Fingler taking a lot of time there. Rich Fanietta will try and close up with David Roth on the back of him. Christian Fingler going to be flirting with those track limits, however, and that's going to be costing you time, as we do see likes of Cedric Bird minding out of the way. Caesar like a Martin Spritzer holding back Hanso Foss, and Miles Stone keeps pressure on as well. But Cedric minds out of the way, does not want to get caught in the tangle, waited for the field to come on by before rejoining. As you see, Ray Williams getting a brilliant dive on David Roth, gets the pass done and dusted, and the likes of Richard Fanietta, however, losing a bit of time as he tries to bring the car back into fray. You can see Christian more than happy with the McLaren as he stretches open the gap a little bit further down the wire. Early gains going to be needed here for all the competitors to continue on the drive. Jens Nelson, Nicholas Cora still keeping nose to tail as they continue on the drive, but running in classes. Ben Hicks, Christoph Peterson, Ernest Lundbergs hold first, second and third of our diamonds. Cole Hines up in the top 5 in all the classes is first of the platinums, with Lucas Collab and David Broschke running third. Saja running in first to the golds with Hanso Foss and Federico Calgera. Ooh, bit of contact between Nicholas Cora and Jens Nelson down into the bus stop. Both not looking to yield, both fighting to try and hold the position. Unfortunately, Jens Nelson getting the rough end of the stick there, loses out the drive. Lucas Collab looks going to be happy about it. Mont Spritzer pulls into the pit lane. Lucas up on the inside, gets past Jens Nelson, who tries to go for a cutback. David Broschke, however, immediately tries to close up the gap, and Jens Nelson does show that he's able to get the run on Lucas Collab. Better exit out of Leclerc and continues on the drive. Immediately, Lucas Collab will constantly chase him down. David Broschke into the slipstream as well, pulling himself along as they continue on the climb. So great to see drivers moving their way up through the order and trying everything they can to stay on the attack. especially in for the top 10 as we keep an eye on 8th, 9th, and 10th, who are fighting it through. Lucas Collab now needs to switch his focus from fighting against Jens Nelson, who is actually in the diamond class. He has got Dave Roschke, who's in the same class as him, platinum, fighting in 3rd, going for 2nd place. He's going to have to think a bit critically here whether he wants to continue pursuing the likes of Jens Nelson or if he wants to give him a little bit of room. Lucas Collab looked for the inside line, couldn't quite get it done and dusted. We'll have to wait yet again, trying to get past the Lamborghini. Got the drive out of the corners, but not working out, and is constantly leaving the door open for David Broschke to come on by and stay in for the fight. Nose to tail they go as they continue on pushing forward. Great to see the drivers are doing everything they can to move forward as Lucas Collab up on the inside. Oh, Broschke goes out very wide. Jens Nelson stuck in a bit of an issue now as Lucas Collab tries to go for the pass. Stellar drive, that being said, and Saja joining in for the fray. Oh, and a late braking moment for Broschke and Saja as Broschke dives into the pit lane. It looks like there may have been possible contact between the two as we'll quickly go to our helicam and see what the damage looks like from the two of them. Looks like Saja went a little bit late on the brakes and that cost him some time. In towards the bus stop, late on the brakes. Yeah, there's the contact. Absolutely havoc to the front of the nose of the Honda. David Broschke dives into pit lane to get it repaired. Saja continues to try and soldier on at the moment. But that was a solid run in the rear. Ronald Priggs in the Marlboro colours, the Black Lung Bandits. All over the bearded at the moment as they continue on the drive. Ernest Lundbriggs, Sean and David Broschke into the pits. Ulrich Diaga gets into the pits as well. As we're starting to see those pit stops racking up for the drivers. 38 minutes to go. Ronald Priggs continues to look on the inside of Bearded. Couldn't quite get the drive. Rays, however, into the wall at the top of the hill. Unfortunately, not going to be an easy one. Lose our 2 positions to Ron Heineke and Federico Calgero. Williams losing the rear of that McLaren. So we're starting to see more and more mistakes creeping in from the drivers as they push a little bit too hard, trying to shake off a lot of that ring rust as they've been fighting through. David Roth and Simon Cusat will continue on the drive. Los Pantos Hermanos, Bentley on a great charge and continues to fight their way through. Ernest Lundbriggs coming out of pit lane. Now this is a big run for him. Out of our top 3 into 28th position, ahead of David Broschke. But how far back? 28 to the likes of Ben Hicks and Christoph Peterson has just pulled into the pits. 70 odd seconds in through pit lane. And now this is a big run for Christoph Peterson, a big gamble, which many of the drivers are going to be keeping a very close eye on. And Christoph Peterson going and avoiding the undercut coming in. Cole Hines keeps the pressure on, trying to move his way up through the order. And will stay in for the fight. Tamo Malami runs in 4th place as he continues to charge on. Cole Hines leads out the Platinum and still sits in the top 4. But you've got the likes of Lucas Collab leading out his 2nd of our Platinums, with likes of Saja leading out the golds, with Hanso Foss 2nd of the golds. Federico Calgero down in 18th. Well, down into 17th now is 3rd of our golds. Ben Hicks will lead out our platinum, our diamonds, with David Schutten and Tamo Malami running in 3rd. Daniel Mutzma losing a bit of time to David Roth. A little bit of nose-tail rubbing between the two of them. The McLaren and the Ferrari not backing down from one another. This is only going to play into the hands of Simon Kusa a little bit up ahead. And the likes of Ruin Heideke trying to carry on a little bit of pace as well. Christoph Peterson, we wait for him to exit pit lane. And where is he going to come out? To the likes of Ernest Lundbergs. Now, Ernest Lundbergs comes in through the hairpin. Has he got the momentum? Christoph Peterson down on the jacks, gets going. Is it going to be enough? However, it's a long, long pit lane. As Ernest Lundbergs carries on the drive. Up, over the hill. Christoph Peterson just manages to hold on ahead of Lundbergs and has done enough to get the undercut sorted and made sure to defend his position. Lundbergs is now on a hot chase. Try and make up time. A bit of an accident, however. Paul Scaveras, the 411, coming to a stop on the outside. And what on earth happened to him? The 992 driver carries a lot of momentum. Oh, loses the rear. Fights it back, loses it, fights it off. Hard into the wall. Taking major impact. And that, unfortunately, caused a tow back to pits. Was on a stellar drive, and unfortunately, with the car fishtailing left, right, and center, lost out a bit of time. Miles Stone keeps pressure on Hanso Voss as they continue on their drive on the way through. Still, so many drivers needing to get their first and mandatory pit stop out of the way. However, it is a big show for Christoph Peterson, who is currently leading out those that have done their mandatory pit stops, with the Ernest Lundbergs on the back of him, continuing the chase. So a wild moment indeed for many of these drivers to start thinking of what they need to do. Simon Kussat holds the inside line, fighting it out with David Roth around the outside. Roth is quite comfortable with that 488 and going late on the anchors. Oh! But unfortunately, the Bentley nose was slightly long enough just to twist the Italian car into a world of oblivion. Ruin Heideke and Frederic Olguero having a little bit of a problem. And Heideke loses control of the car, rejoins, and this is in front of David Roth. But Heideke, critical mistake, puts wheel off on the dirt, loses out time, and has to try and fight his way back through the order. Rich Fanietta continues on his drive with Christian Fingler ahead. The Project Vapor driver will keep the pressure on the Christian Fingler, head of the ERA. And for anyone that doesn't know, Rich Fanietta's IRL endurance team name is called the Dutchman Brown Deck Racing. Now, if you say that very fast, be cautious, you will get flagged. I kid you not, it has happened before. So the Dutchman Brown Deck Racing, Rich Fanietta, continues on the drive. He hasn't got Gavin Rook in the car with him this time around. And will continue to have a bit of fun. Schuten gets into first place as Ben X pulls into the pits. Cole Heinz will move up into second. Jens Nelson will gain a position as well as Nicholas Cora dives into the pit lane as well. Hanso Voss still keeps Miles Stone at bay. The two of them continue to fight on. Hanso getting a terrible drive out of the bus stop. Miles Stone immediately looks to try and capitalize. Stunt Possum Racing looking to try and get it done and dusted. Looks for the inside into Lecum. Couldn't quite get the pass done. We'll have to wait it out yet again. Christian Fingler and Rich Fanietta continue on their drive as they march on. Now, Christian Fingler was part of the idea for the Track Tool team. Originally came up for all the cars to be in Lamborghinis. This time around, however, taking a different approach, and the Track Tool team opting to go a BMW McLaren split to see what's going to work out for this season. And a bit of an interesting choice as well, as both cars have some serious pros and cons to them. Miles Stone, inside line, beautiful pass on Hanso Voss. Hanso not fighting out for class position, but overall position at the moment. Miles Stone will be quite happy moving up into the top 6. Hanso Voss losing out a little bit of time to Saja, who actually leads out the gold division. Al Perry, along with Jim Manuelson, lying a little bit further down, as we do see Nicholas Cora, Ben Hicks, Simon Kussat, Ruin Heideke, David Roth, and Richard Oakes all into pit lane. trying to get their pit stops done and dusted. Christoph Peterson feeling the pressure of Ernest Lundberg's going and making up a bit of time here. Now Ernest going to hope to carry some serious drive through. Will look to try and keep the hammer down and force Christoph Peterson into a mistake. But they are keeping a very close eye on the likes of Ben Hicks and Nicholas Cora, who have just come out of pit lane. And Ben Hicks will continue on his drive ahead of all of them. Now Ben Hicks leads out everyone that's done their pit stops thus far and will be ensuring he can continue the drive a little bit further down the way. Christoph Peterson trying to hold back Ernest Lundberg's at the moment as Ben, Christoph and Ernest continue on the charge. All three within eyesight of one another. Lucas Collab into the pit lane to try and get his pit stop done and dusted. As we get closing down into the final 29 minutes and 55 seconds. Sean Skitter, after a bit of a recovery drive early on. Jim Nielsen in the Chucky colours, going to have a great bit of fun. And this is the new Chucky, if I remember correctly, on the side of his car. Yes, it is. No. Yes, it is the new Chucky. This is, ironically enough, the new Chucky was actually voiced by the legendary voice actor, name escapes me, Mark Hamill, who voiced Chucky in Child's Play and voices the Joker from Batman, voices, well, he was the main actor for Star Wars with the likes of Luke, and also has done many more voices throughout history. Always fantastic to see, and a good homage to some incredible voice actors. The SBS Automotive performance of Hanso Voss, however, putting homage to the Mercs. They've done incredibly well around Spa. Sits in the top 6 with Milestone just ahead of him. Patch Miles, Lucas Collab, Federico Calgero, Sean Skitter, and Bearded pull into the pits to get their pit stops done and dusted. David Shooter leads out the entirety of the field with Cole Hines in second place, Jens Nelson in third, Saja in fourth place, Milestone, Hanso Voss, Christian Fingler, Rich Verheerder, Jim Nielsen, and Lewis Knight round out the pack. All still need to do their final pit stop. This is going to be a very interesting time for those drivers to start considering the pit stops, as majority of the field have done their pit stops and got it out of the way as they continue on the drive. Unfortunately, we've seen 3 retirements in this race. However, once again, apologies for the voice in and out and fading, but we will keep showing the action. We will bring all the action across the line, because this is ERA. This is the Sunday Championship. And like I always say, if you see the green, you gotta see the checkered. And no matter where you are in the virtual grandstands, in the cars, in the team, you gotta see it through to the end. And it will be a proper fight through. And come hell or high water, I'm gonna lose my voice if it means that I have to see the fantastic racing through to the end. It's gonna be worth it here for round 1 of the ERA Sunday Championship. Christian Fingler leads out ahead of Rich Verheerder as they fight for 4th and 5th at current and continue on the momentum. Christoph Peterson and Ernest Lundbergs continue to keep the pressure on one another as they caught up to Ben Hicks. Now Ernest Lundbergs getting a little bit squirrely on the throttle there, couldn't quite get the momentum as the 488 driver continues to keep the pressure on long-term rival Christoph Peterson. Trying to take a bit of a tight line into Lescombe, couldn't quite get the momentum out of it, and now they're going to see a couple of passes being done as they move back into the top 10. Ed Cole Hans, Milestone, and Jim Emilson, Hanso Voss absolutely keeping it pinned at the top of the hill. Rich Verheerder and Christian Fingler still fighting out as our top 6 yet to dive into the pit lane. considering when they need to get it done. They're going to just be hemorrhaging when they fall down the order. Karl-Heinz comes out into 10th position and is first of those that have done the pit stops. But that being said, Nicholas Cora snatches the 10th place away. The McLaren driver moves up into 10th place. Karl-Heinz down into 11th, still fourth of the Platinum drives. That is still in a very positive position, as we do see Schutten, Nelson, and Sudger into the pits. Christian Fengler will be aiming to get into the pit lane as well. Richard van Heerden on the other side will look to try and usurp the entire field. Richard van Heerden will gain a good, solid couple of positions and will lead this race on lap 15. Rich van Heerden leads out the ERA Sunday Championship, but only just at this point. Lewis Knight will also continue his drive through, not to go and pull into the pits. So Lewis Knight also playing the long game here with 24 minutes to go. Still lots of time on the board for anything to happen. The drivers having to consider the facts of what they need to do. Christoph Peterson going late on the brakes, feels that Ernest Lundberg's breathing down his neck, continues on the hard charge. Well, Ben Hicks starting to open up the gap. We'll see the 2ID team a little bit further up the way as Finley Gamble going and mines out of the way for the drivers. He is a blue flag car, but goes and gives him a bit of room. Well done to Finley Gamble, a very, very gracious driver, I've got to admit. Finley's one of these drivers that when you see him out on the track, he will give you a lot of room plus more. And even when you're fighting him side by side, he will give you that room. He'll allow that opportunity to race cleanly and race close. But at the same time, consistent in pace. Ray Williams fighting out with David Roth as they catch up to Richard Oakes just ahead. Williams, the Wyvern Motorsport, looking for the inside line. Couldn't quite get the drive. Roth, however, will keep it all together through Blanchemont. Losing out a little bit of time, however. Into bus stop. Look to the inside. Oakes just having a very poor entry. Going and causing a major concertina. A little bit of contact between the likes of David Roth and Richard Oakes, however. Very, very light just kiss of the bumpers there as they continue on the drive. Richard van Heerden and Lewis Knight yet to pull in the pits. And when they do, they'll drop out of that top 10. And both in the Platinum class will be going and shaking their heads as Lucas Kolab, David Brodsky, and Martin Spritzer look to inherit first, second, and third. Sudger holds first to the golds. Still a drive on his part with the Honda NSX. As he continues on the drive, Miles Stone down in 14th. Hanzo Foss, second of our golds, with Federico Calgero lying in 20th position, third of our golds. Rich van Heerden into the pits, Lewis Knight into the pits, and this is going to allow Ben Hicks, Christoph Peterson, and Ernest Lundbergs to retake first, second, and third overall in the race. So honestly, just a good run all around for our drivers, keeping some solid pace in it. And now we do talk about lap times. Our front runners are running 2:17s, 2:16s. But that being said, if you can keep yourself in for the chase, like what Ventus Ram is doing, new name to the grid, is doing 2:19s. He actually came into the pits twice. And that was for the reason why he's lost out so many positions. He's been sitting in the 2:19s, which would put him roughly 25th position. Unfortunately, 2 pit stops compromised the time and threw him down the order. But that being said, to be on the grid in server 1 shows that you have got some considerable pace, and it's nothing to sneeze about to be in server 1. Only the fastest of the fast get to race here. And you've got to be fast, you've got to be consistent, you've got to have racing knowledge in your head. This is round 1. We do have a number of rounds in the championship to improve, to keep moving forward, to keep the chase up, and to keep going. Come on, voice. If you see the green, you got to see the checkered. That is the motto here in ERA. And for all the teams and drivers follow that very same motto. You see the green, you got to see the checkered. And that's what we have to say for everyone out here in ERA. For all the drivers, the teams, and the spectators. For everyone to power through to the end. Ben Hicks and Christoph Peterson will continue on the charge with a 1.3 and will be continuing on the drive. Ernest Lundberg's running in third as they continue on the charge, trying to make their way up through the order. Oh, crazy, I can tell you one thing, buddy. I've used everything and only got my voice back this morning. And the main thing I wanted to do was come and commentate for ERA, especially for the Sunday Championship. Went live on iRacing a little bit earlier. Voice started to walk away. Was determined I was going to do it here. And I am here to see it through to the end in one of the best leagues you can be in. One of the most friendliest leagues that you can be in. And also, if I had to go and fall over now, after going and giving every driver in this grid stick, that if they see the green, they got to see it to the end, well, I can't go back on those words. This is going to be a bit of a rough one. Jeff. So Jeff LaRue, if I'm correct in that one. Fantastic. Ruben Heidecker keeps the pressure on Daniel Mutsuma as they continue on the charge. Daniel doing a stellar job to push himself a little bit further up the road. Ruben Heidecker, the South African, coming off a championship win in South Africa, lying at 18th position at the moment. Actually had a chat to him a little bit earlier and went and asked the difference in racing from local to overseas. He said there is a very big difference in pace-wise, where it just seems like the overseas drivers have that little bit of an edge. That being said, the South African drivers are really looking to step up the game. And it's good to see different countries, different drivers from around the world all putting their best foot forward here in ERA. And this is what we welcome. Bringing some of the best in the world to battle it out and to teach people as well to have these pros that can fight it out for hours on end to battle their way through to the top end of the order. Always phenomenal to see, and honestly glad to see the drivers fighting it through to the end. That being said, gotta also talk about that we are having a charity race coming up. Please go take a look on SimGrid. It's the Race for Dean charity cancer event. We invite everyone to come and join us. It's a multi-class 12-hour racing where you get to race against the very same drivers here, the very same legends that are duking it out on circuit in a 12-hour race. And we already got a 40-car grid for our GT3s. And we look forward to seeing many more cars joining in. Nicholas Cora and Jens Nelson continue to push each other as they will continue on. And it's going to be a proper one. And it is going to be a huge chase. Now, that being said, these drivers are going and having a proper fight with one another. They are friends off the circuit, but rest assured, when they are behind the sims, this is a fight. This is a brawl. This is a gloves off. This is a Conor McGregor hold on to your body pillow, because you are going to see a brawl of note. And Ruben Heidecker showing that up against Daniel, who's had the supremacy into the corner and continues on the drive as well. Stellar effort from the McLaren driver to hold back Ruben Heidecker. I mean, this is a fight for 18th position, and they're having a good go at one another. Oh, contact at the top of the hill. Jens Nelson loses it. Nicholas Cora loses it. And that is a bit of a blow for Jens Nelson. So up through Radion, up through Eau Rouge, continues on the drive as they aim towards the right-hander. Jens Nelson late on the brakes, went for the inside. Oh, no room, understeer. And unfortunately, self-serve penalty, my heavens, was that nearly death for Tamo Malami as he went charging through as well. Oh, big tank slapper for Tamo Malami as he brings it back through P1. That's just going to feed into his own teammate. Lucas Collab is going to say thank you very much. Leads out the platinum with Dave Brodsky and Modern Spritzer having a go with him. Saja down in 11th, first of the golds with Hanso Foss trying to close up the gap. And Federico Calgero runs in third of class. This is just a battle of note. And there's definitely a war on track. That's for certain, as many drivers move forward. But Karl Heinz is out of the race. He was leading the Platinums and is out of the race. And likes of Ram getting a drive-through penalty as well towards the end of the race. This is a nightmare effort for him. And he will have to serve that. But Karl Heinz, who was leading out in the 206, unfortunately pulled into the pits. What on earth happened to him? See if we could go back to an earlier run. So this is Karl Heinz, the first of the yellow flags. All looking well. And what happened? Just stopped? The car just died. So Karl Heinz, who was leading our Platinum, had his car just die on him coming out of Liscombe. And that, unfortunately, puts to bed his race and the first win he would get. Simon Kussat and Hanso Foss continue on the drive. Simon Kussat putting a wheel off circuit, however, not going to be too happy with that one as he continues on the drive, moving forward. Going to be a late on the brake, look to the inside, couldn't quite get it to work out for him. And monumental shift as Simon nearly into the back of Hanso Foss. Had to take evasive maneuvers. Monten Spritzer and Dave Broschke continue to run nose to tail as it's third and second of the Platinum class. Right on the tail of them is Saja leading out the golds. Ben X holds the lead of the race as we do see Ray Williams take the outside line, gets ahead of David Roth, will continue on the drive. Ram pulling into the pits, serve that drive-through penalty, get it out of the way, and get back into the race. Always fantastic to see the carrying on the whole way through. Alperi, Ulrich Diaga having a good go at one another. And here comes Lewis Knight, who had a stellar drive, looks for the inside line, and he got Sean Skitzer for a bit of company. Diaga loses out a little bit of time, and immediately the likes of Sean Skitzer stays in for the fray. Diaga defensive on the inside. Absolutely stunning run as we do get likes of Ram back out on circuit after serving his drive-through. Might not be the race he wants, but it's the race he's got. And honestly, well done to the driver for perseverance to get through to the end, no matter what. Always fantastic to see. David Bochke getting pressured by his own teammate with 12 minutes left on the clock. As the track tool team continue on the charge. Christian Fingler feeling the pressure from Richard van Heerden on the back of him. Daniel Mutsuma and Ruin Heidecker still giving the chase as we go through our closest battles. El Perry dealing with Lewis Knight. Las Pantos Hermanos Nissan fights it out against the Pennzoil Racing. Lewis Knight tries to go around the outside. It is the battle of the Godzillas. And ultimately, Lewis Knight does a beautiful switchback. Perry loses out the drive. Skitzer goes around the outside. Perry overcooked it into bus stop. And Skitzer gets a pass. Phenomenal drive on their parts as they got to go and see it through. And I absolutely love that. You got to finish what you started. And that is precisely it, folks. You got to finish what you started. You got to see it through to the end. And we got the old motto. If you see the green, you got to see the checkered. Through it all, from the start of the championship through to the end. From the start of the race through to the end. And that is what our drivers are doing, putting on a phenomenal performance for us on a Sunday night here at ERA, broadcast around the world with talent from across all continents of the world. Lewis Knight and Sean Skitter continue the charge on one another. El Perry loses out to Ulrich de Jager, who dives up on the inside and gets a pass done. Monster effort all round from the drivers. Daniel Mutsma, Ruben Heineke side by side, as Daniel will be stuck on the inside. Ruben Heineke tries to hold the inside line. Nose to tail they go. The McLaren just having the power to get ahead of the Ferrari 296. The turbocharged V6 not able to fight against the McLaren. Monumental undertaking between the two of them. Saja getting overtaken by the likes of Jens Nelson. Nelson moves up into 10th place. Saja leads out the gold, falls into 11th, and continues to carry on. Stellar effort from all the drivers. Rich Vanieta trying to go around the outside of Christian Fingler. Beautifully done. Christian trying to come back at him. The McLaren horsepower hoping to be in effect here. Richard comes across, loses a bit of time as Richard Vanieta from the left side, the right side of the track to the left, try and close off Christian Fingler. Does get it done and dusted and will continue on the drive. Stellar racing. 9 minutes and 20 seconds to go. It is an all-out chase. Ben Hicks, Christoph Peterson, Ernest Lundbergs continue on their drive. Fingler and Richard Vanieta getting a little bit into a mess with one another. Side by side they go. Once again, Christian up against the rear of Richard Vanieta. Got to go late on the brakes, trying to make it send through. And Christian just couldn't carry the momentum to make it work out ahead. Daniel Mutzer and Ruben Heineke just in shot are also starting to gain a little bit of time. Patrick Bowles and Ray Williams will continue on the fight. And Psycho, I gotta say, I got my voice back this morning. And I wanted my voice to be ready for tonight's broadcast. And I was going to make sure I was here. Went on broadcast for iRacing. Saved my voice as much as I could, because there would be no better place to lose my voice than with the intense, epic action of ERA Sunday Championship. I have waited weeks for this championship to restart, and damn it, I want to see the green and see the checkered and all the way through. And for you out there in the virtual grandstands, you also have the right to see the race through to the end and see the incredible talent we have here around the circuit. It is going to be an immense one for the race of ages, for round one of the Spa-Francorchamps here for the ERA Championship. Round one at season 15 of our longest running championship here in ERA. Tremendous effort from our drivers who continue on the charge. Ruben Heineke keeps pressure on Daniel Mutsma, as this is one of our closest fights on circuit at current, with 7 minutes and 19 seconds to go. Simon Kussert and Hanso Voss trying to close up the gap. Mon Spritzer and Broski running formation as they hold second and third of the Platinum class. Lucas Collab further up ahead. The Cyber Racing been doing a stellar job to just maintain his gap. Tomo Malami runs in 6th place as Ben Hicks, Christoph Peterson, Ernest Lundberg, Schuten, Cora, and Malami round out our top 6 of our Diamond class. Martin trying to carry on the momentum at the moment. Hanso Voss, Simon Kussat keeps the pressure on one another. Daniel Mutsma and Ruben Heineke, as we do have a car off. That is Christian Fingler. David Roth's got a drive-through penalty. Fingler into the dirt. My heavens, what happened to Christian Fingler? As we try and get a little bit of sight of what happened into the right-hander. Down into second. Oh, just the rear stepping out underneath him. Little tap on the wall, but down the order he goes into 20th position. Christian Fingler not going to be happy about that one. Simon Kusat will continue to put the pressure on Hunter Foss. David Roth with a drive-through penalty in the last 5 minutes and 50 seconds is an absolute kill shot for him, especially since he made up the drive to the likes of Patrick Bowles ahead. The Coors Banquet driver continues to try and get the pass done. Dives on the inside of the Red Bull styled BMW. Patrick, the BMW Red Bull sim racing team, waits out a little bit longer. Knows that he's not in for a championship fight here. It's an overall position, but will gain the time. Simon Kusat and Hanso Foss duke it out between one another. And Simon getting the good run on the Mercedes will now start to open up the gap. Martin Spritzer and David Broschke continue on as Jens Nelson lurks in the back. That bright yellow Lamborghini starting to make up some time. Starting to be a little bit more of a threat to both teammates. And will look to try and gain overall position, not really class position. 34 drivers still going around. Last of the runners is Rahim. The Hockbeck Rim team are fighting out, and it's good to see Virtus having a good time out there. It hasn't been his race. Had a drive-through penalty twice through the bits, and this is doing an incredible run on his part. Lovely to see that he's hanging in until the very end. Patrick Bowles now got Richard Oakes on the back of him. Christian Fingler dealing with Ray Williams on the back of him. Wyvern Motorsport looks to the inside. Couldn't quite get it to work out. Looks back to the outside. Christian holds the inside late on the brakes. Can he make it work, however? A little bit more cautious this time round into the corner. Ray having to sling around on the outside. Couldn't get the momentum through and continues on the charge. Great racing on the way through, but take a look at this. David Broschke, Martin Spritzer, and Jen Nelson are up on one another, but take a look. Big change. David Schutten, a drive-through penalty being handed out, will knock him out of the top four. Schutten loses out, getting a track limits exceeded. A monumental blow to his part, and will continue to tumble down the order. Mod Spritzer getting a little bit of a heave-ho for Jens Elson through Blanchmont. Looks to try and defend his line. Jens trying everything he can through bus stop. Over the curbs he goes. The Lamborghini won't have the drive on the BMW out of the bus stop, but puts in a solid effort to just try and get it done. The Iron Lynx coloured Jens Nelson not backing out of the run. Continues to try and get some motivation, some pace to carry on through. And Martin looks to defend his 9th position. But is this the right thing to do? Because one crucial mistake can throw him out of 3rd place in his class. Jens Nelson continues to put the pressure on, trying to gather some momentum, trying to make something work in his favor with 2 minutes to go. This is still an incredibly close race for 9th and 10th. You have no idea. You have no idea. And you know what? I'm not going to back down. Saw the green, got to see the checkered. Ray Williams and Christian Fingler continue their charge. Side by side they go, trying to make their way through as they battle on. It is monumental. It is late on the brakes. Williams sends it on the inside. Fingler once again loses the rear, and that is just going to have Patrick and the likes of Richard Oakes get by. Sean Skitter going to go around the outside. Oh, contact between Christian and Skitter. Christian into the wall. Skitter into the wall. Well, into the dirt. Lewis Knight gains a pass. Skitter waits to rejoin. And ultimately, a big loss of position for him as Al Perry gets the pass on him. I mean, this is just turning into a race. Oh, Skitter losing in the rear again. Christian Fingler going a little bit slow. It's number 30 driver having a tough time out there. Slows down to wait for Skitter to come by. Skitter's tires are absolutely cooked. We will see him just come around and lose the rear. And there it is. Losing the rear on the apex of the corner.
Right, man. Leader is on the final lap.
And we get word that Ben Hicks is on the final lap. Slides the car through out of speaker corner. Into Puan he goes. He's done a stellar drive. Christoph Peterson in second. Ernest Lundberg's in third. Schuten will lose fourth place. And you can see as he battles to keep the car going, a monster mistake coming in. Going to cost him early in the championship. Nicholas Cora going to gain a position. Tom Omalami will gain a position. But it is Lucas Collab leading out the Platinums. It is Saja leading out the Golds as they continue on the drive. But what a run as they fight their way through. Federico Calgero just holding on to third place has got Jim Mielsen on the back of him. Mielsen hoping that he can try and get a little bit more of a run. And the Chucky looking to play, looking to send. Unfortunately, couldn't get it on Calgero. As Calgero late to the brakes, sliding the car around. Looks to try and carry his momentum through. Here comes our leader, however. Ben Hicks takes the checkered flag and wins round one of the ERA Championship. Second place goes to Christoph Peterson. Ernest Lundberg will finish in third. As we wait for the rest of the field to come through, we'll look a little bit further back as Schuten will get a drive stop go. We'll get an 80-second penalty for not saving the drive through. Nicholas Cora, Tom Malami will gain a position over him. Lucas Collab will take the win for the Platinum division with David Borschke in second place, and Bart Spritzer will take third of our Platinums. A absolutely stellar drive on their part, and what a major run for it. Debut run in server 1 goes to Saja, who will come across the line taking the win for the Golds, with Hanso Foss taking second place of the Gold division. Federico Calgero in for a fight, trying to hold on to third. Jim on the back of him. Federico holds it through Blanchemont, heading towards bus stop. Jim has got to go for the send. Kazzy got enough room, tries for the outside. Calgero stops him dead on the apex. Calgero will hold third of the Gold division. And what a stellar run on both their parts. What an incredible race, folks, from our drivers. And round one completed of the ERA Sunday Championship. Now that is how you kick off round one. Close racing on the way through, taking gambles on your pit stops, drivers having to push that little bit further to see who will be able to fight their way to the end. And what a stellar, stellar run. And hats off to the last of the runners that didn't give up. And that goes to Ventus. Well done, buddy. Honestly, well done. Zero give up. And got it to the line right across. Absolutely awesome to see. That being said, an incredible, incredible racing day done and dusted. Round one done and dusted here of the ERA Sunday Championship. And we've seen some incredible moments from all our drivers to battle their way through to the very end. And as we take a look back at some of the highlights during the course of the race, congratulations. Overall victory and class victory goes to Ben Hicks. From start to finish, has led the lead of the race. That being said, had some serious pressure on the back of him. We'll wait to see if we can get some of the drivers to give us a bit of an interview on their part to see how it all went for them. With some incredible racing, some nail-biting moments, that's for sure, that came out of the entirety of the field. But a massive, massive thank you to you all. Absolutely great to see you all there. And great to see so many of our virtual grandstand lining up to enjoy the racing. This is the Sunday Championship, and ladies and gentlemen, we want to see more and more of you come and race. But that being said, we do have the winner of the race. We do have Mr. Ben Hicks of the ERA Highway Patrol. Mr. Ben Hicks, welcome to the commentary booth, and well done on a race win. Start to finish, let it out. How are you feeling?
Oh my god. I've been swapping between cars all week trying to figure out what I wanted to run this season, and I did some laps in the Lexus and it was flying. So I locked in this morning and yeah, I'm very, very pleased.
Well, it was a stellar race. Now, we've got to ask, you were a little bit later on your pit stop. Were you concerned at all that maybe you left a little bit too late into the race compared to the likes of Christoph Peterson and Ernest Lundbergs, who pitted a little bit earlier than you?
Yeah, I was really hesitant on the lap after Chris pitted. I almost came in, but I decided I had another lap of fuel, so I'll just commit to the strategy that I had from the beginning. But I think around here, at least in the Lexus, I think in most cars you have to have a bit of a slower first couple of laps, otherwise you get graining really fast, and then you're half a second off the pace for the rest of the stint. So I was just relying on them having to take it easy a bit on the first couple of laps to bring the tyres in, and it worked out.
It was a stellar run on your part to continue the drive, but take us through that race, having a 40-car field, you leading out at the start. It must have been quite a moment to look in the rearview mirrors and just see an incredible amount of drivers waiting for the chance to get round you.
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of people that have shown up for the first race of the season. Hopefully, everyone continues to show up. Yeah, it's awesome having massive grids. Now,
we've got to touch on last season. You got second in the championship, 87 points ahead. You managed to beat out Ernest Lundbergs, who was on 71 points, lost out to Christoph Peterson. This season, are you feeling more confident? Are you feeling a little bit more in there to take the Diamond Championship away from Christoph Peterson to finally break the streak?
Yeah, well, I'm going to give it my best shot. We'll see. I think Spa is one of my best tracks comfortably. So I was hoping for a very good result here, and this has inspired me to push on for the rest of the season. It's the only way to improve on last season's to win it all. So we'll give it a shot.
Well, it's absolutely incredible to see you going and fighting out there. Anything you would like to say to your team, to all that were out there in the pits, to all the partners here in ERA, the teams, the drivers, and most importantly, and I think you can agree with me, the absolute petrol heads that were cheering you on up through Eau Rouge, because that must have been an incredible sight.
Yeah, thank you to everyone. Thank you to all the staff at ERA for running this and allowing us to do this, especially Fengler, who saved me from the Bentley this morning. Thank you to you for running the stream. And being able to share our races with all the fans, and thank you to the fans themselves. It's great that everyone's turning up to watch, and I hope everyone continues to.
Absolutely great stuff. Well, that being said, Ben, go and enjoy the celebration. You earned it, taking the first checkered flag of the season here at ERA, and you've done an incredible job. The ERA Highway Patrol taking the first stab at the championship.
Thank you.
Absolutely amazing drive from all our competitors. Saja, on a debut outing in Server 1, gets the win from his side. I mean, this has been an incredible run. Lucas Collab getting the win in the Platinum Division and has done an incredible job on his part. So just awesome to see the drivers pushing that little bit more. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that being said, there is still so much to come here at ERA as we look forward to next week. We'll be going and heading out to the beautiful Snetterton, but this time in a bit of a wet. The country of home of rain out there in the UK will be going and pouring down. So expect to see lots of slides, lots of happenings as the drivers move forward. That being said, we also do have the Drive for Dean 12-hour on the 17th of July. We do invite you to come and join us on that absolutely incredible race. And we would love to see more and more teams entering to be a part of it. Just head over to SimGrid. We'll leave the link into the description as well. And we'd love to see you guys all pitching up, joining in for the fun, because you as fans will be able to donate to give penalties to drivers. So if you really want to go and have a bit of fun with your team without getting in trouble with your team, that's the best way to do it. And we look forward to seeing you guys coming back on the 27th for some incredible racing here at ERA. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like icon as well, and let us know what was your favorite part of the race. And that's going to be that. And listen, if I'm going to lose my voice, I'm going to lose it properly. So, like always, and we do it for the first time this season, a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.